From families that have entire armies under their command to ones that have been controlling the world for over 1,000 years, these are the 15 strongest families in One Piece. And let's start with the Nefertari family. Although we don't know much about the origins of this family, we do know they are a part of the mysterious D-Clan. People from the D-Clan are known as the enemies of the gods, and they are often the ones who change the world through their actions. At some point, the Nefertari family became the rulers of the huge desert kingdom of Alabasta. Fast forward to the Void Century, and the oldest known member of the family, Nefertari D. Lily, was one of the rulers who worked together to defeat the ancient kingdom. However, unlike the other rulers who stayed behind to create the world government, Lily decided to return to Alabasta instead. It was around this time that Lily somehow spread the poneglyphs around the world, making sure the truth about Joy Boy and the ancient kingdom was not completely forgotten. This affected the world so much that even hundreds of years later, the poneglyphs are still causing problems to the world government and its ruler, Imu. Unfortunately for the Nefertari family, Lily vanished shortly after this, and any mention of her in the history books was basically wiped out. Eventually, her brother inherited the throne, and he continued the bloodline's legacy. Fast forward around 800 years, and the descendants of Lily's brother, Cobra and Vivi, are now the rulers of Alabasta. Now, the Nefertari family was never known for its fighting strength. Instead, they were a family that held a huge amount of political influence throughout history. Even Brooke mentioned how the rulers of Alabasta were always pretty fair and well-liked. Right now, only Princess Vivi has shown some level of combatability, since she spent some time working as an agent for Baroque works. The Nefertari family may have shaped history more than almost anyone else on this list, but when it comes to raw power, the next family has them beat. 𝐿 family. You see, the Happo Navy is a pirate crew that originally started off as a gang around 300 years ago. They had a massive fleet, and the family that controlled it for the past 13 generations was the 𝐿 family. The oldest member of this family that we know of is Don 𝐿. Several years ago, while Garp was still at his peak as a Marine, 𝐿 made quite a name for himself as an exceptional fighter and successful pirate. He gathered a huge fortune for himself, but eventually lost it all when Garp defeated him in battle. The Happo Navy has over 1,000 members, but as far as family members go, we only know of 3, Don 𝐿 and his grandsons, Sai and Bu. Their strongest family member is obviously Don 𝐿, since he managed to become quite a rival to both Garp and the former pirate king Goldie Roger. In fact, Garp had to punch down 8 mountains in order to train himself for his final fight against 𝐿. The old man also knows how to use all 3 types of hockey, which is pretty rare in the One Piece world. When it comes to his grandson and successor, Sai, he is also fairly strong, able to deliver hockey-coated kicks that can tear down entire buildings. He showed off his armament hockey skills when he used it to defeat someone like Lao Ji, an officer of the Don Quixote pirates. Bu, on the other hand, is the weakest member of the family, since he could barely keep up with the Funk brothers in the Colosseum. There are still 13 insanely strong families left to cover, and let's continue with Neptune family. Just like the Nefertari family ruled Alabasta, the Neptune family has ruled the Ryukyu Kingdom on Fishman Island since the time of the Void Century. Nobody knows exactly how they first gained power, but the oldest known member of the family was Queen Poseidon, a mermaid who was one of Joy Boy's allies. However, after Joy Boy was defeated, the world government erased or censored almost everything about Poseidon. As a result, very few records of her still exist. The only clues about her can be found on poneglyphs, with one located in Shandora and another hidden within the sea forest on Fishman Island. The current generation of the family includes King Neptune, his late wife Queen Orihime, and their 4 children, Ryuboshi, Manboshi, Fukaboshi, and Shirahoshi. In his younger days, King Neptune was a famous warrior who defended his kingdom from powerful pirates and invaders. He even saved Whitebeard's life at one point, which created a strong bond between the two. His 3 sons are also skilled fighters and are comparable to Marine Vice Admirals in terms of strength. However, the strongest member of the family is Princess Shirahoshi. You see, Shirahoshi inherited the power of Poseidon, which allows her to command the giant sea kings. Since there are countless sea kings in the oceans, this ability basically makes Shirahoshi one of the most powerful characters in the entire series. But as strong as some of the Neptune family members are, they were never quite as powerful as this next family, Don Quixote family. For centuries, the Don Quixotes had been one of the cruelest noble families in history. They ruled Dressrosa for over 800 years, helped bring down the ancient kingdom, and later became one of the 20 families that founded the world government. This family also had a long history of slavery. You see, one of Doflamingo's ancestors enslaved the entire Tontada tribe, with many of his descendants continuing that tradition. Some important members of the current generation were Homing, as well as his sons, Doflamingo and Rosinante. Another branch of the family included Mjosgard and his father, Shiver Kalaro. but we don't really know much about these two. Despite their terrible reputation, not every 𝐷𝐿𝐻𝐻 was evil. For example, 𝐿·H·ōming and his wife chose to give up their lives as celestial dragons because they wanted to live like normal people. So they left Marioa and tried to start over with their sons, but instead they were hated by the people around them and ended up living in misery. Now, most of the 𝐷𝐿𝐻𝐻s weren't fighters, since they spent their lives being spoiled and sheltered. The only two exceptions were 𝐿·H·ōming's sons. During his life, Doflamingo murdered his own father, reclaimed Dressrosa, and honored his main ancestor by enslaving the Tontada tribe again. In contrast, Rocinante rejected his brother's cruelty, joined the Marines, and ultimately gave his life to save a young child from certain death. With the power of the string fruit and his mastery of hockey, Doflamingo eventually became one of the 7 warlords of the sea, which made him one of the strongest pirates in the New World. Since Doflamingo is significantly stronger than the members of the other royal families we covered so far, I'll have to place the 𝐷𝐿𝐻𝐻s above them in the rankings. However, this is still nothing compared to the power some of the next families have. �KOZUKI family. For more than 800 years, the �KOZUKI family were the main rulers of Wano. They most likely rose to power sometime before the Void Century and were the main family involved in the creation of the poneglyphs. Although we don't know anything about the founding members of the family, the oldest member we do know about is the previous shogun of Wano, Kozuki Sukiyaki. Then, after him, came his son Kozuki Oden and his children Momonosuke and Hiyori. Now, Sukiyaki himself was a samurai who possessed decent combat and swordsmanship skills when he was young. He was also a legendary swordsmith who was responsible for forging the blades Ame no Habakiri and Sandai Kitetsu. Then there's Oden, who is by far the strongest member of the family. After basically reuniting his entire country and bringing in every known outlaw within its borders, his power in Wano was absolute. Being able to cut a boar the size of a mountain in half without even flinching, Oden was a powerhouse on par with the strongest pirates in the world. Later in his life, Oden also joined Roger's crew and reached the final island of the Grand Line. In his final battle against Kaido, Oden even managed to break through Kaido's thick skin, a feat only a few people in the world were capable of. In the end, Oden met his demise when he sacrificed himself for his people and saved his retainers from being boiled alive. In contrast, his son Momonosuke and his daughter Hiyori are very timid and frail. They lack the ability to use haki, and they aren't very exceptional when it comes to combat ability. One thing Momo has going for him, at least, is that he accidentally ate a clone of Kaido's mythical Zoan devil fruit. So, we can expect him to get much stronger in the future. Funnily enough, there's also a secret honorary member of the �KOZUKI clan, Kozuki Moria, who later went on to become a warlord of the sea. However, Moria was only given an honorary title for his strength. He was never actually related to the �KOZUKIs. But what if I told you that the �KOZUKIs might not even be the strongest family from Wano? Shimotsuki family. The Shimotsuki family weren't always a noble family in Wano. The family only rose to fame once one of its members, Shimotsuki Ryuma, did the unthinkable around 400 years ago by slaying a living dragon. After his death, Ryuma became a legend and was greatly respected by his people. Not only was his sword, Shusui, considered a national treasure, but his family was also given noble status as a direct result of his heroic actions. The Shimotsuki family then began a long history of leadership, where they were the only family that controlled 2 entire provinces of Wano. The family was vast, and several branches of the main bloodline formed over their 400 years of existence. Ryuma's direct lineage included Furiko, her son Arashi, and her brother Ushimaru. Other members of the family included the likes of Yasui and Kozaburo. The family's current generation includes Furiko's grandson, Roanoa Zoro, and Kozaburo's son, Koshiro. Despite being excellent swordsmen, members of the Shimotsuki family were also great swordsmiths, with Kozaburo forging both Enma and Wado Ichimonji. Now, when it comes to strength, Ryuma is considered to be one of the strongest swordsmen ever and is likely the strongest member of this bloodline. He was also able to turn his sword black during his battles, which only a few people in the world are capable of doing. Then there's Zoro, who, as you already know, is insanely strong as well. I mean, he single-handedly defeated King, Kaido's strongest officer, and even survived the combined attack of 2 former emperors. He also knows all 3 forms of haki, which makes him even more dangerous. And lastly, we have Ushimaru, who was one of the strongest samurai left in Wano after Oden's death. Other members of the family, like Zoro's father, Arashi, were probably strong fighters as well, but unfortunately, we don't know anything about them. There are still 9 bloodlines left to cover, and I can't wait to show you guys the strongest ones in the end. But before that, let's continue with Kaido's bloodline. Although we've never seen anyone else from this bloodline besides Yamato and Kaido, there's no denying that the two of them are some of the most powerful people Luffy has ever come across. The only thing we know about Kaido and his bloodline is the fact that they are Oni, with both him and his son having a pair of horns growing out of their skulls. When it comes to strength, even as a child, Kaido was strong enough to join his country's army and quickly became its strongest soldier. However, Kaido soon started being hunted by the government for his brute strength and was captured multiple times. He later joined the Rocks Pirates and eventually ate the mythical Zoan-type devil fruit, 𝐿𝐿 model 𝐿𝐿. This fruit allowed him to transform into a huge blue dragon and made him one of the strongest beings on the planet. At some point, Kaido also created his own crew and began collecting powerful members in order to establish himself as one of the 4 emperors of the sea. During that time, he had a son named Yamato, who also wound up eating a mythical Zoan fruit, the ino model 𝐿𝐾𝐄 no Makami. Some of Kaido's feats include tanking attacks from the worst generation like they were nothing, lifting entire mountains, surviving one of Oden's strongest attacks, and almost killing Luffy. On the other hand, Yamato possessed a similar degree of sheer strength, especially in his hybrid form. Yamato even went toe-to-toe against his own father for an impressive amount of time until Luffy arrived to help. It goes without saying that both father and son possess all 3 types of haki, and were also able to use Advanced Conqueror's haki on top of that. That's actually one of the main reasons a family this small managed to earn a spot so high on the list. And although both Kaido and Yamato are insanely strong, sometimes there's more strength in numbers, as is the case with this next family, 𝐵𝑛SMOKE family. The 𝐵𝑛SMOKE family gained power about 300 years ago. From there, they established the 𝐿𝐵𝐴 Kingdom and formed a gigantic army to invade and eventually conquer the entirety of the North Blue. However, they soon lost it all, as their empire only lasted for a total of 66 days. At one point, this family had so much influence that they could even alter marine bounties, as we've seen in Sanji's case. Anyways, the current head of the 𝐵𝑛SMOKE family is Judge. Sometime in the past, Judge discovered the lineage factor, which is something present in all living organisms. Using this, Judge was later able to develop cloning technology and clone some of his strongest soldiers, making the 𝐵𝑛SMOKE family even more powerful. Using that same research, Judge started experimenting on his own children as well. He basically sacrificed the woman he married in order for her to give birth to the perfect super soldiers. These children were Reiju, Ichiji, Niji, Yonji, and Sanji. Each of them, except Sanji, showed insane superhuman abilities even as children, and they quickly became Germa's main fighting force. However, even despite this, Judge still wasn't satisfied. So, in order to restore the Germa kingdom to its former glory, he planned on using Sanji as a political tool and marry him to one of Big Mom's daughters. But as you already know, this never happened, as Big Mom only wanted to use the 𝐵𝑛SMOKEs for their technology and had no intention of actually working with them. So, after this brief alliance, the 𝐵𝑛SMOKE family's influence was weakened, and they were officially barred from the world government and from participating in any future reverie. Okay, but let's now see how strong the 𝐵𝑛SMOKEs really are. Firstly, all of the siblings and Judge himself possess superhuman strength, speed, and durability. They also have special genetic traits that allow them to do the kind of things only Devil Fruit users should be able to do. Moreover, they all have powerful exoskeletons that make them resistant to most attacks. Sanji perfectly showed this when he easily tanked Queen's Punch, which basically destroyed his neck and crushed his entire body. Besides Sanji, all of his siblings acted like one-man armies and took over several countries for the glory of Germa 66. But that's not all, because on top of all this, Judge also constructed special raid suits to further amplify his children's abilities. Reiju's suit makes her fireproof, Ichiji can control light and use it as an explosive, Niji can use the power of electricity to supercharge his attacks, Yonji has increased physical strength, while Sanji has the strongest exoskeleton and even more enhanced speed compared to his siblings. Nerona family. Saint Nerona Imu is not only the strongest character in the series so far, but he's also one of the 20 original monarchs who directly fought Joy Boy and destroyed the ancient kingdom. Sometime after that, Imu found a way to gain immortality, and he used his powers to take over the world and rule it from the shadows. When it comes to strength, Imu can easily parry attacks from top-tier fighters like Sanji and Zoro. He also has crazy speed, which he showed when he traveled from a Rust Castle all the way down to the Western Village almost instantaneously. His Devil Fruit, although it hasn't been named yet, literally allows him to transform into a powerful demon with wings and a tail. He can also use what look like magical abilities to summon his allies, emit black flames, travel instantly to any of his magic circles, and even use Omen as a projectile attack. However, the thing that makes Emu truly terrifying is that he can make other people immortal and grant them a portion of his power. And although Emu is undeniably the strongest character in One Piece at this point, it wouldn't really be fair to place his family any higher than this due to the fact that no other members have been revealed yet. So, until that happens, the Nerona family will have to stay at this spot. 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐹 Royal Family. Although we don't have a name for the family yet, the 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐹 monarchs have upheld a long legacy of producing some of the strongest characters in the verse. Suspected to be one of Joy Boy's allies back during the Void Century, the 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐹 royal family right now consists of two main heavy hitters, Harold and his son Loki. When it comes to Harold, he was said to have the kind of conqueror's haki that was comparable to Whitebeard and Roger. This was proven when he clashed equally with Rocks on multiple occasions. Harold was also known as the Monster in the Mist, someone who took down multiple pirate crews during his career as a secret enforcer for the world government. Not only that, since he was a God's Knight, he also had all the buffs that came with forming a covenant with Emu, like immortality and enhanced strength. On the other hand, his son, Loki, ate the mythical Zoan fruit, Ryūryū no Mi Maro Nidhogg, which allows him to transform into a massive dragon. During battles, Loki also uses a hammer called Mjolnir, which allows him to call and control lightning. Recently in the manga, Loki proved his strength when he clashed with Emu, standing his ground and even managing to harm him. It's clear that both of the 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐹 family members we know of so far are around Emperor level in terms of power, and that's why they deserve this spot on the list. Only 5 more families are left to cover, and I can't wait to show you guys the strongest one near the end. 𝐷 family. When it comes to family history, we know absolutely nothing about the 𝐷 family beyond the fact that they belong to the D clan. Gol D. Roger, the most notable member of this family, was born in Loguetown. At some point in his life, Roger decided to become a pirate and headed out to sea. Conquering the seas on his many adventures, Roger gathered a powerful crew and quickly became a legendary pirate. Throughout his journey, he faced off against the likes of Rocks, Whitebeard, Kaido, Sengoku, Garp, and was on par with each one. Eventually, Roger managed to reach the final island and find the One Piece, officially becoming the Pirate King. At some point during all of this, Roger also had a son named Ace. Ace would later end up in Garp's care after Roger's execution, and Garp would send the kid to Fuchsia Village. Just like his father, Ace grew up to be an incredibly strong fighter and eventually joined the Whitebeard Pirates as the 2nd Division commander. Same as Roger, Ace knew how to use all 3 forms of haki and had even eaten the Mera Mera no Mi, one of the strongest Logia-type fruits in the story. Unfortunately, the Gold bloodline ended for good once Ace was killed by a Kainu during the Marineford War. Now, even though this family only has 2 known members, I still think it deserves this high of a place on the list, mostly because of how legendary and influential Roger was. Davy family. Just like the Gold bloodline, the Davies are also part of the D clan, and when it comes to fighting against the gods, they were quite possibly the most successful at it. Although we don't know how this bloodline truly began, we do know that the person responsible for its fame was a guy named Davy D. Jones. Over the centuries, members of the Davy bloodline were mostly hunted down and purged by the world government. That's why the Davy family members started hiding their lineage and began living their lives in secret. So, they lived in hiding for centuries until one of them decided to rebel against the entire world. David D. Xebec, more famously known as Rocks D. Xebec, was the most feared and respected pirate in the world. Before Roger ever had his time in the spotlight, Rocks carved out an entire era for himself, with no other pirate daring to challenge him. However, in addition to his crazy strength, Rocks also had the guts to go against anyone, which made him a big problem for the government. He showed this when he infiltrated the Holy Land and actually killed an admiral while taking 5 kings hostage. During this time, Rocks also had a child, a boy he named Teach. Eventually, Rocks met his demise on God Valley, where he was corrupted by Emu and then finished off by Garp and Roger. However, this was far from where the Davy family story ended. That's because some years later, Teach came of age and decided to follow in his father's footsteps by becoming a pirate himself. Teach quickly built a name for himself, first becoming a warlord of the sea and then even an emperor. He was solely responsible for the Marineford War happening and even used the opportunity to kill Whitebeard and steal his devil fruit. Considering the direction the story is going, it's likely that Teach will continue creating chaos across the world and might even surpass his father in terms of strength and reputation. Monkey family. The Monkey family is another family connected to the D clan, and they rose to fame pretty much from nowhere. Starting from the oldest member of this lineage, Monkey D. Garp, we know he's been a Marine ever since his teenage years. His son, Monkey D. Dragon, also tried to live up to his father's legacy, but ultimately decided to rebel instead. The same can be said for the latest generation of the family, Monkey D. Luffy, who chose to become a pirate. In terms of strength, each member of the monkey family is incredibly strong. Garp, for example, is a legendary Marine who was easily on Emperor level during his prime. Known for his famous rivalry with Gol D. Roger, Garp was feared by pirates all around the globe. At God Valley, Garp fought against the Rocks pirates and had most of them running away just from his mere presence. Even in his old age, Garp is still crazy strong, as he almost annihilated the entirety of the Blackbeard pirates all by himself. Meanwhile, his son, Dragon, has yet to show what he's truly capable of. However, politically speaking, he's extremely powerful in his own right. He's the leader of the Revolutionary Army, an organization determined to bring an end to the world government. He's a master tactician and strategist who even coordinated the invasion of Marioa. And finally, we have Monkey D. Luffy, the future king of the pirates. Although Luffy is exceptional in pretty much every area of combat, his main power comes from his human fruit, model Nika. This ridiculous fruit allows Luffy to transform into Nika, a legendary warrior from the past who's meant to liberate the world with joy and laughter. He can pretty much do anything in this form, like turning everything around him into rubber, catching lightning with his bare hands, and even transforming himself into a giant. When it comes to sheer power, Luffy's still not as powerful as Garp was in his prime, but he's definitely getting there. Long story short, the monkey family are people you do not want to mess with, and they deserve the third spot on the list. Before we cover the strongest bloodline in the entire One Piece, let's quickly go over Charlotte family. The oldest known member of the Charlotte family in this series is Charlotte Linlin, better known as Big Mom. Even as a child, Linlin was incredibly strong, capable of killing a giant with a single punch. During her childhood, she also managed to acquire the insanely strong soul fruit after eating its previous owner, Mother Carmel. Anyway, after growing up, Linlin decided to join the legendary Rocks pirates, and she took that opportunity to start collecting the strongest devil fruit she could find in order to eventually feed them to her children. After the Rocks pirates were disbanded, Linlin decided to create her own crew, setting the foundations of the Charlotte family we know today. Soon after establishing her crew, Linlin became an Emperor of the Sea due to her influence, which made the Charlotte name famous throughout the world. During the next couple of decades, Big Mom had a total of 85 children, which easily makes the Charlotte family the family with the most known members in the series. Now, when it comes to this family's combat strength, the strongest member is obviously Big Mom herself. With her Soru Soru Nomi, she can steal the lifespan of anyone who fears her and even create homies using other people's souls. After Big Mom, the strongest member of the family is her son, Charlotte Katakuri. The main reason why Katakuri is so strong is his future sight ability, which allows him to see seconds into the future and predict all of his opponent's moves. He also has a pretty strong devil fruit, the Mochi Mochi Nomi, which allows him to create and control mochi. He's the only sweet commander who managed to push Luffy to his absolute limit and forced him to awaken a new form. When it comes to the other sweet commanders, we have Smoothie and Cracker. Cracker's Bisu Bisu Nomi allows him to create an endless army of tough biscuit soldiers, making him a nightmare to fight against. Meanwhile, Smoothie can squeeze the moisture out of anything she touches, and can absorb that liquid to amplify her own strength. But the sweet commanders aren't the only strong fighters in this family, as we have many more like Perospero, Oven, Daifuku, Mont d'Or, and the list goes on. All in all, with dozens of insanely strong and capable fighters, the Charlotte family is essentially an army that could likely crush every other family on this list so far. However, there's still one family that even all of the Big Mom pirates couldn't beat. Figerland family. Same as some other families on the list, the Figerland family was one of the original 20 royal families that existed during the Void Century. The oldest known member of this family is Saint Figerland Garling, the former leader of the Holy Knights and the supposed hero of God Valley. After gaining Imu's complete trust, Garling was recently promoted to one of the 5 elders, replacing Saturn as the warrior god of science and defense. Just like everyone else with a high government position, Garling signed an abyssal covenant with Imu, which granted him immortality along with other powerful abilities. Next, we have Garling's oldest son, Shamrock. From a young age, Shamrock decided to follow in his father's footsteps and became a Holy Knight as well. He currently serves as a leader of the Holy Knights and commands the same level of respect as his father. Shamrock has shown that he can be quite heartless and cutthroat when he needs to be, and he possesses ridiculously powerful Haki that even 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐵 considers abnormal. Okay, so this family already has the leader of the Holy Knights and one of the 5 elders among its members. But why not add an emperor as well? Yeah, I'm talking about Garling's youngest son, Shanks. Shanks is likely the strongest emperor at this point in the story, and one of the strongest characters in the entire series. I mean, the guy literally made Admiral Greenbull terrified simply by showing off his Haki from miles away. On top of that, he also has possibly the strongest observation Haki in the story, being able to see more than 10 seconds into the future. Now, the interesting thing about the Figurland family is that they hold influence and power with pretty much every group in the world. Like, you have Shanks being a respected pirate, you have Shamrock commanding the Holy Knights, and you have Garling with power over the entire government and the Marines. So, yeah, I think you'll agree with me when I say that the Figurlands are the strongest bloodline in One Piece so far. Click on this video next where I explained what would have happened if all of the Straw Hats joined the Marines. Go on, click it.